But my top story tonight, and it is coming from Hisar in Haryana, where 48 hours and counting self-styled godmen turned gangster, many believe. Rampal's ashram in Hisar is now a war zone, or still is a war zone. The situation remains tense. The centre has rushed 500 paramilitary personnel to Haryana to deal with the law and order situation. The police presence outside the ashram has been stepped up. According to sources, there is a high likelihood that Mr. Rampal, who's been charged with treason, will be left with no option but to surrender tonight. There has been a fresh instance of violence. Several cars were set on fire near his ashram this evening. So far, 5 women and an 18-month-old child have died in the violence. 425 people have been arrested, while 15,000 have been taken out of the ashram. Ankit Tyagi is on ground zero.
Day 2 of ashram standoff in Hisar. No gunfire, no petrol bombs, no bricks. Only anxious men, women and kids limping out of Rampal's fortress. After pitched battles on day 1, day 2 was about patient evacuation of Rampal supporters and about police ready for the final push or a long haul stay.
Another wave of Rampal supporters coming out of the ashram. This has been a pattern that started at around 9:45 in the morning and since then has been repeated almost every hour. By now, about 15,000 of these supporters have in fact come out. The police has made arrangements for them to be transported in these buses that you see are lined up here. Men, women and children are segregated and put into separate buses and then sent to various police stations for judicial custody by a local court. And 470 supporters belong to his private army, detained by the cops, wearing down resistance, one detention at a time.
At 2 p.m, sources in Ministry of Home Affairs confirmed to us that they were not happy with Haryana Police's handling of Hisar situation. This despite Intelligence Bureau having passed on information of a possible face-off in Hisar.
No wonder the cops kept taking fire for botching up on day 1.
इन सभी डेड बॉडीज को अस्पताल भेज दिया गया है, जहां इंक्वेस्ट की प्रक्रिया जो सीआरपीसी में लेट डाउन है वह और पोस्टमार्टम किया जाएगा। मैं ये बताना चाहता हूं कि इस समय तक इनके शरीर पर किसी प्रकार की चोट का कोई भी निशान नहीं।
Under fire for mishandling the entire episode, CM Khattar tweeted that he was just upholding the law of the land. Khattar and cops stood firm, and a day after being beaten back, the police in no mood to give an inch. With Ankit Tyagi and Pankaj Upadhyay in Hisar, Bureau Report, Headlines Today.
And I want to go to Ankit Tyagi, who's really been the one reporter who's gone right inside the ashram. He's been tracking this story from day 1. Ankit, first, what is happening around you? I see those pictures of the burning cars which we are playing. Many of those were cars burnt, we are told, outside the ashram by Rampal supporters. But tell us what is happening now on ground zero where you are.
Well, as of now, the CRPF has taken over the outside cordon near the ashram. Rajiv, since morning, about 16,000 people have come outside the ashram. Just about half an hour back, there were a batch of about 100 that came out. Now we have been told by sources that there are about 1,000 people still left inside, all of them hardcore, hardened supporters of Rampal. But indications are that the police has been able to reach to some sort of an agreement with Rampal, and all indications that in the next few hours, this deadlock can break. He will either come out and surrender, or the police would be able to move in and arrest him.
Now, the 6 deaths that have taken place there, Ankit, you're saying that Rampal could surrender later tonight, but the 6 deaths, do we know the cause of death?
Well, as of now, the post-mortem of only 4 bodies have been done, and the cops are saying that they have not died because as collateral in the operations that took place yesterday. According to them, they were people, those who are suffering from certain ailments. They had come here in hope of some sort of treatment or magic that Rampal promised them that he will do, and they have died of natural causes.
Right.
2 bodies are still to be their post-mortem are yet to be done, so we yet don't know. But the police is saying, according to them, their operation has been a successful one,
right,
despite what we saw yesterday. No casualties as far as they are concerned.
Okay, Ankit, stay safe and keep reporting from there, from ground zero. Who knows, Rampal might surrender later tonight, as you are now suggesting, but we'll keep tracking the story with you. Let's now look for the people across this country. Who really is Rampal? Rampal dared the state government of Haryana, but it isn't his first brush with the law. Let's take a look at this self-styled godman and his private militia.
Who is the self-styled guru holding an entire state to ransom? Who is Rampal after all? Rampal Das was born in Gohana in Haryana's Sonipat district on 18 September 1951. He joined the State Irrigation Department as a junior engineer, only to quit 18 years later and declare himself as the incarnation of Kabir. 4 years later, he laid the foundation of Satlok Ashram in Karota. In 2005, the Arya Samaj came out against Rampal, rebuking him for denigrating Hindu scriptures and his derogatory comments against Dayanand Saraswati. In July 2006, Rampal's ashram was sealed after clashes between his supporters and Arya Samaj followers turned bloody. A young man was killed and 59 others injured. Cops booked Rampal for murder. After 22 months in jail, Rampal got bail and shifted base to Barwala in Hisar. The face-off between Rampal's disciples and Arya Samajis intensified again in May 2013. 3 people died, over 100 were injured. Since his release, Rampal has skipped hearings 42 times, and that is why he now faces contempt charges. Controversy's favourite child, the self-styled spiritual guru, faces cases of murder, attempt to murder, forgery, criminal assault, allegations of having amassed illegal wealth. But Rampal claims he is too ill to attend court. Does he believe that his presumptive godman status puts him above the law of the land? Bureau Report, Headlines Today.
Question then, Flashpoint Hisar, has the Haryana government totally mishandled the Rampal case? Is this an example of a failed state? Not just the BJP government at the moment, but importantly the Congress government as well in Haryana. Let's raise that question. Joining me in my studio is Vikram Singh, former DG of Uttar Pradesh. He'll give us a police perspective. I'm also joined by Kiran Chaudhary, member of the Haryana Legislative Assembly from the Congress Party, by GVL Narasimha Rao of the Bharatiya Janata Party, and Mr. P.V. Rathi, who's been a former intelligence advisor to the Haryana government and a former police officer, and will know therefore the position of the Haryana government well. Thank you all very much for joining us. Kiran Chaudhary, I want to start with you first, because while there is a BJP government today in Haryana, the fact is that for the last 10 years there was a Congress government, and Mr. Rampal has flourished when Mr. Hooda was the chief minister. There are 43 cases against him, or 43 times that he was summoned to the court. He did not appear even once. There are 9 cases, murder, attempt to murder, forgery, kidnapping against him, and in none of those cases did the police pursue the case. Was Mr. Rampal protected by the Congress government in Haryana? Is that the ugly truth?
Absolutely not. I will not agree to that at all, because during the face-off at Karonta, when it happened during our time, charges of murder were slapped against him and he had to go to jail. It was only after that he got bail that he got out.
Ma'am, the fact is that he evaded appearing before the court 43 times in 4 years. What did your party do to throw the law book at Mr. Rampal? There's a feeling that the chief minister, and importantly his wife, who apparently, according to a newspaper report, is a bhakt of Rampal, were intent on protecting him.
Well, as far as his wife is concerned, I cannot say anything on that, because that's her personal matter. But as far as the government is concerned, whenever there was a law and order situation, we handled the situation, and this man was sent to jail. and after that, when he gets bail, only then he comes out. The fact
he
of the
comes
matter
out and then doesn't
is,
go to court. I agree. He goes to jail, comes out, then there's a non-bailable warrant issued. He is supposed to appear in court 43 times. He doesn't appear. And the Haryana police, instead of clamping down on Rampal and his ashram and his private militias, as we are finding, has only allowed him to flourish, ma'am.
Well, if he doesn't appear before the court, it is for the court to take steps. And it is when the court took this step of issuing warrants against him, those warrants which were issued against him should have been executed by the BJP government in power today. So you cannot put the blame on the Congress government at all.
You know, you seem to be unwilling to accept that Rampal flourished under the Congress regime. That is the truth. Rampal flourished under the Congress regime.
It's not that. It is for the court to take those steps. You see, I mean, if he is not appearing, if anyone absconder for that matter does not appear, it is for the court to take the next step.
And the Haryana government has no responsibility? Haryana government has no responsibility to execute the warrants?
The Haryana government took steps and produced him before the court, for which he went to jail, after which he got bail. Then after that, whenever there was a court summoned him on, he did not appear, and that was for the court to take notice of. Now, the court did take notice of the whole thing and issued non-bailable warrants against him. Once those non-bailable warrants were issued against him, it was the duty of the government, of the current government, the BJP government, to execute those warrants and bring the offender to court and uphold the law of the land.
Can I then take that to the BJP? GVL Narasimha Rao, the Congress is saying, look, don't blame us. You are the government in charge. It's now a Haryana government. This is the government which has promised to enforce the law tough, to be tough about law and order. And yet you've got the government at 6s and 7s in dealing with Rampal. So to that extent, the BJP government also, even if it's only been in power for just a couple of weeks, also has to answer some serious questions.
I think we are accepting today. It is the responsibility of the BJP government to ensure law and order in the state. And but the fact that this man has been able to create such a large group of people, a private militia, stock up so much of weaponry, ammunition inside a so-called ashram, and a sant will resort to such unsant-like behavior is something which is shocking to everybody. But the moment this government has taken note of it, the cognizance of it, I think you have seen how hard the state government has come against Mr. Rampal since yesterday.
You know,
even today, the kind of charges that have been filed against him.
Many say that the Congress government did not act for the years it was in power. You've also woken up late. When the water has, now when you've seen the crisis, when it's reached crisis point, you've suddenly acted. That's the truth, Mr. Narasimha Rao.
Rajdeep?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, Rajdeep, you see, in the first place, you see, we know the kind of situation that has built up in the ashram. And in fact, the police, when this man did not appear before the court, the police and the government submitted the situation inside the complex in a sealed envelope, apprising the court about the situation. When the court said, no, come what may, you have to execute this, I think the government has a duty to do. And the government was worried about the circumstances, the law and order situation that was going to develop there. And as a man like him, somebody who calls himself a sant, would resort to such drastic measures.
So there was an intelligence failure.
The security of thousands of people at risk.
So there was an intelligence failure. Somewhere the government didn't anticipate what would happen in a situation. Hold on. I have an intelligence officer who has been with the Haryana government. Mr. Rathi, do you want to answer this? Why has the Haryana government, first under Mr. Hooda, completely allowed, it appears, Mr. Rampal a long rope, to the point where he has built this private militia of his with armed men, with ammunition, and now you've got a situation where the BJP government clearly didn't know, or the Haryana police didn't know what to anticipate when they went to the ashram.
Rajiv, I look at the situation very differently. The malaise is in our political system. We have a constitution which is basically secular in nature. What has happened in Hisar today, if you just look back in history, what happened in Bhindranwale's time in Amritsar, then 2006 we had this problem, the situation was worse, where the public outside were ready to run over the ashram. The police operationally had a tough time but managed it.
No, I want to know the intelligence failure, sir. Bindran, are you saying Rampal is another villain? Look, let's be honest. This country suffered a lot in the 1980s because they mishandled Bhindranwale. I don't think Rampal is Bhindranwale clearly, but something clearly happened in Haryana in the last 5 or 10 years where Mr. Rampal was allowed to flourish, and today the government finds it almost impossible to control him. Look at the image which is going on to the world, that the mighty Indian state cannot take a godman and put him under arrest. There was an intelligence failure.
I agree with you, Rajdeep. I do not look at it as intelligence failure. We are a soft state, and even if you have intelligence inputs, how do you interfere?
That's it. Mr. Rathi, sorry to intervene. If you are saying we are a soft state, that means that Mr. Rampal, I will say, flourished under political patronage. The sense one gets that he flourished under local political patronage. Now, do you call that a soft state, Mr. Rathi?
No, I am referring to the Indian state as a whole, as being a soft state, no. Even if we have intelligence, just hear me out.
Yes.
Even if we have intelligence input, how do you intervene? There is no regulatory laws which have been made in this aspect. Let us not forget one thing.
Yes.
All these institutions which have grown and have so much of funding, and all this fortification which has been taking place, under what law do you intervene? The only power which the police has is under section, just hear me out.
I'm sorry, sir. I'm surprised that a senior police officer is pleading helplessness virtually today and blaming the system and a soft state. But let me bring in another police. I'll come back to you, Mr. Rathi, because Vikram Singh, here is Mr. Rathi, Haryana intelligence officer saying we are a soft state. What do we do? There is how do we under what law do we go in?
The Indian state.
Okay, Indian state. But I am going to refer to the Haryana state today first, and also the larger Indian state, because Mr. Rampal may be symptomatic of a larger problem. But what is it? Is the police helpless? Or is there a serious problem because Mr. Rampal has now artfully cordoned himself out, using his devotees in a sense as a human shield? But for years this has been allowed to grow, it appears, in this place of Haryana.
Mr. Rajdeep, let me tell you that this could have been the worst tragedy, but to ignore the ground reality and to say that there is no provision of law in which I can tell, let me tell you, just to refresh your memory, there's the National Security Act, there's the MACOCA, and there are the provisions in the IPC, and Chapter 6 of the IPC, waging war against the state. Rome was not built in a day. These fortifications, these private army, we allowed the grass to grow underneath our feet, and in fact turned the other way around and gave Rampal a long rope. Please understand.
Is this typical of godmen, of the kind of deras? Each one of them have become almost a state within a state, running their private militia. So who is to be held responsible? Is it the soft state, as is being suggested by Mr. Rathi, or is it the political leadership in particular states?
I would say the state patronage given to these so-called godmen, who in fact are the outsourced agents as vote catchers. These godmen, in fact, double up as vote catchers, and hence the patronage. You have 42 warrants or 42 summons against you. What prevented you from declaring a reward and declaring Rampal a proclaimed offender? You did not do it. Secondly, you chose to ignore the non-bailable warrant, the service of which was the bounden duty of the government and the police. The operations you dilly-dallied for 8 days, and when you chose, in fact, to swoop down upon the ashram, it was in a very half-hearted manner without any action plan. And then in the process, you not only bossed up the operations, in fact, you have not been able to get Rampal. And today, as the news says that Rampal is on the verge of surrendering, is there a secret dialogue that you will not arrest him and you will ensure a surrender and give him a VIP treatment after that? It all smells of that.
You know, that precisely is it. And both political parties, in a sense, in Haryana have much to answer for. You know, Kiran Chaudhary, the Congress, Ashok Tanwar, your Haryana Congress president, says, what happened is very unfortunate. Dialogue should be used to sort out the matter. Bhupinder Singh Hooda says law and order has to be maintained in Hisar. The government and Sant Rampal supporters need to solve the matter so there is no further tension. No one is really saying let's crack down. The sense I get is everyone is trying to in some way appease Rampal, almost as if Rampal is someone who is in himself today an independent power center, instead of being treated as a gangster and a criminal.
Look, let me be very straight on the facts.
Yes.
It was the BJP government that constituted a medical board. And in that medical board said that Rampal was seriously unwell and he could not be produced in court as there would be a law and order situation. So the very fact is that they were weak-kneed in producing him before the court. And when only the court rejected the whole thing and said that they would hold them liable for it, that did they start on this. The fact of the matter again is that the entire machinery has absolutely gone awry. And the entire state law and order situation is so alarming that today
was not
these people
built
are
in
making,
the last 20 days.
No, please hear me out.
Rampal was built over the last 5 years.
No, this is not an election campaign.
Yes.
Please hear me out.
Yes.
And I must be heard.
Yes.
Because I'm the BJP spokesperson, raised some issues. This is not an election campaign. The mere fact is that it is the Khattar Sarkar today in power, and it is the BJP Sarkar today, the BJP government, which is responsible for the law and order situation. The entire country is watching, the entire world is watching, and they are weak-kneed. They have allowed this kind of a build-up to happen. I have seen it myself over TV during the past 10 years.
Was Rampal built in the last 20 days or in the last 5 to 10 years? When did Rampal become Rampal? How did he become so powerful?
No. Rampal could have...
And why are they supporting him today?
Hold on, Mr. Narasimha Rao. Hold on, Mr. Narasimha Rao. I will come to you. Let Kiran Chaudhary respond.
The issue is not when he was built. Everyone, this is a democratic country, and everyone has the right to do what he wants. The mere fact of the fact is that
no one has the right to take the law into their own hands.
Non-bailable warrants.
Yes.
When non-bailable warrants were issued against him.
Yes.
And those non-bailable warrants should have been executed by the government of the day, which is the BJP government, which they could not do because they botched up the entire operation. In fact, it is most horrendous that the way the media was also attacked in such a manner.
Let me focus.
I want to know from the BJP people. No, please let me complete my sentence. I want to know that why was the media attacked? Why, are they scared about bringing the the entire thing on media scrutiny so that the whole world could see that they were not doing the right thing?
Ma'am, meanwhile we are getting reports. Ma'am, we are getting reports that Rampal has been arrested. Hold on. We are getting reports that Mr. Rampal has finally been arrested. But I want to come to you, Mr. Narasimha Rao, as that news is breaking, because let's be clear, the operation has been botched up. The way the Haryana police has handled this operation, Kiran Chaudhary is talking about the beating of the media persons. You've got now 6 deaths. We'll have to see whether they were, what was the cause of death. But the fact is that this operation was botched up. I am willing to concede that the Congress party has much to answer for the last 5 years in allowing Rampal to grow. But the last 20 days, you have been in power. And in those 20 days, you appear to have botched up this entire operation. Let's not run away from facts.
So please give me as much time as you allowed Kiranji to kind of sidestep the real question that you asked.
Yes.
She is not answering.
Yes.
Why does the Congress leadership have sympathies for this person? Why is Mr. Bhupender Singh Hooda making a statement to have dialogue and a peaceful dialogue and negotiation at a time when he has actually held thousands of people hostage inside the ashram? So is this happening? If this is happening in the backyard of Mr. Hooda, I am actually forced to raise this question. Is there a political conspiracy to defame the newly formed government?
Come on.
And the kind of question
Mr. Narasimha Rao,
this is also an aspect of investigation.
That's unfair.
This is an aspect of investigation.
No, hold on. You now seem to be suggesting that Rampal is
I would certainly want intelligence agencies to go into this.
You are now calling it a political conspiracy.
People showing the sympathies.
Ma'am, Mr. Narasimha Rao,
why do they have sympathies for this man?
Mr. Narasimha Rao, when the Congress was in power and something like this had happened, you used to call for the resignation of the Chief Minister. Now when you are in power, you are talking about conspiracies. Let's not say conspiracy, except that you botched up the operation. Just as the Congress must accept that they allowed Rampal to grow, you must also accept a few hard facts.
No, Rajdeep, this was done in a very efficient manner. I think you think with thousands of people inside, there is no harm done to anybody because of the police crackdown. I think whoever became a casualty, they are inside the ashram, and this was the entire damage was caused by the supporters of Mr. Rampal. The police have done this in a very mature fashion.
I'm going to go to my reporter in a moment. We're going to have an extended bulletin. We're going to have an extended bulletin tonight because this is the story that is... Hold on. This is the story that is breaking. So we're going to have an extended bulletin tonight which may well go well beyond the 1 hour mark, and we'll go to our reporters in a moment. But I want to come to you, Mr. Vikram Singh, for a word on what you're hearing. Is this about Congress versus BJP? Or is this simply that the police itself has much to... What about the police leadership? We are all blaming the political leadership, the Congress for in a sense, patronizing Mr. Rampal, the BJP for where it stands. Do you believe the police leadership has much to answer for?
Indeed, the police leadership has a lot to answer. This operation, this bust-up operation, has certain very important lessons in terms of fieldcraft tactics and, in fact, crowd control. And, in fact, if the police leadership did not come down very efficiently, they did not give the best account of professional capabilities, as some learned speaker had said that perhaps it was a very professional operation, I would beg to differ. Firstly, it wasn't professional. They allowed things to simmer for 8 to 10 days. They came down only after the chips were down.
Is the police leadership to be blamed for that? Let's be clear. There's a new government which has just come in power of Mr. Khattar. There was previously a government of Bhupinder Singh Hooda. Doesn't the police have the independence? Shouldn't the police have stood up?
On paper has this independence to act, and these were very solemn orders given by the High Court, and the police should have complied with them without taking or waiting for any political signals. The signals are, in fact, that there were certain silent but clear political signals given, and therefore the police chose to soft pedal when they chose to, and in fact come down when they had no option. Absolutely.
So you're saying that the police soft pedal. Mr. Rathi, do you believe that today we are now being told the news which is breaking at the moment? My correspondent will be on in a little while saying that Mr. Rampal has been arrested. Do you believe all this could have been done a little bit more efficiently rather than send out this message not just in India but across the world that the mighty Indian state cannot even take on a self-styled government?
Rajdeep, what I would like to say, I draw your attention to 2006 situation when Rampal was holed up in Karantha. The situation was worse than this.
Yes.
When the police had to handle not only the Rampal supporters but the hostile public outside, and the operation was carried out in one night itself.
No,
this operation, of course, has been lacking professionally. I agree.
Yeah, okay. So you are accepting that there is a lack of professionalism that has been built into the system. Who is responsible for that, Kiran? Yes, Mr. Rathi. Who is responsible for the lack of professionalism?
I would say the system itself, because with the new government that we have, probably it was just sort of lackluster at the beginning. They didn't realize the gravity of it. We had realized the gravity of it in 2006 and taken steps to it. There were no court orders at that time.
Meanwhile, the pictures that we are showing you, live pictures. Meanwhile, we are showing live pictures of Mr. Rampal being taken out in an ambulance. These are the pictures that are now playing out at the moment. It appears that time is finally up.